Okay, welcome everyone. This is Carla from Walsum with The Salon. And today we will speak about MeToo unless you're a Jew. And my co-hosts for today are Rachel and Leah. Welcome, girls. This video is about atrocities committed to Israeli women and Jewish women and non-Jewish women in October 7th, and the way they have been not only raped and gang raped by Hamas and Palestinian civilians that came over to party too, but also the way they were dismembered, tortured, eyes cut out, breast cut off, the most horrific things. And that is a super big shock that your daughter is treated like that and murdered, of course, and other women and in the country. So that is like mind-blowing that such a thing can happen. It's not only killing and murdering and gang raping, but also the joy that is visible and the glee that is visible in the videos that Hamas made. The second choice for the world is, and for us, is the lack of compassion and empathy and support of feminist movement and women movements all over the world. Also the UN. The UN took some action lately, so we will give that some space. But the coldness and even worse, the denial and saying that the IDF made it up themselves in order to start a war. So many lies and assumptions made up again that we don't understand why that is, why we have to look at the world like this and why we were treated so badly. And we know anti-Semitism is dormant, is actively there, is inherited through generations. The whole history is like this. So many people have the prejudice, but why would people's heart close if you hear these terrible, terrible things that happen, those atrocities of the level of barbarism of the Middle Ages? While there is overwhelming evidence, Hamas have filmed themselves so much, and Israel has made a compilation of 45 minutes that is only viewable for journalists and for people on higher levels, because out of respect for the death and the families of the people that were murdered, not to have it going viral in the world with all those very naked elements, right? And then we have Zaka. Zaka is an Israeli nonprofit organization that collects minusculely, minusculely, minusculely all the stuff, the body parts, everything they can find, to put it in one bag. And then there's doing DNA research with that the right body materials and parts and tissue is for the same person when they will be buried. And that is a terrible work. And those people that do that, it's horrific. I have seen the pathologists that were doing the work after that, so finding the DNA, that both of them were crying at a certain point, and they said, we have never seen such horrible atrocities. There was one woman's body, the legs cut off. It's like, what's going on with that? And then the response of the world, no, that's not true. They made it up. That's, to do that. Where is the joy that people find to attack us so horribly and to not wanting to believe what is true? Okay, so now I would love to give the word to Rachel, because Rachel is very well educated about this, and I would love to hear what she has to share with us.
Well, I think, Carla, you said a lot about this. I know that recently, when you scroll through the UN Women's Instagram page, you'll find multiple posts about the conflict in Gaza, but there isn't anything, unless something has changed very recently, that condemns the actions of Hamas, let alone the acts of the sexual actions of Hamas, the violence. There's and the rapes against the Israeli women. Maybe there's something very recently, but I'm not aware of that.
No.
the MeToo movement has been shockingly silent about this. I believe that there's basically two reasons for that. One is that it's a very political movement, and the other is anti-Semitism. For example, just going back in time, with Bill Clinton, they didn't believe Paula Jones. With Joe Biden, they didn't believe Tara Reid. With Donald Trump, they believed Jean Carroll. It's totally political. So if you're a Democrat, they have a totally different belief system. And if you're a Republican, you're in trouble because you're in court. So you're condemned if you're a Republican. So that's one issue. So it's a very political thing.
But that's in America, right?
And that's in America.
Worldwide, the feminist movements were silent.
Exactly. But we're talking about the reaction to what happened in Israel, in terms of how the American people view what happened. And on the left, and in the extreme left of the Democrat Party, for example, nobody is talking about the rape victims in Israel on October 7th. And that's a political thing, and it's an anti-Semitic thing.
Yeah.
Can I say something for a second? I think it goes right to the heart of Islam, because if they did acknowledge the women and the suffering and the brutality, then everything they've been saying about Islam wouldn't be true. Then they're saying it's a peaceful religion. Well, clearly not. But if they acknowledged it, then it wouldn't be consistent with every single thing they're trying to express about Islam that's positive. So they're managing their own narrative at these poor women's expense. So
that is so
think
interesting.
Just a thought I was thinking.
That's so interesting. So if I may interject too, is that I always wondered, being European and knowing the feminist movement in Europe over the years, there has not been much attention either for the suffering, the intense suffering of a lot of Muslim women all over the world. Also in Europe, I mean, we had the troubles about a documentary 25 years ago made about domestic abuse in the Netherlands from Muslim families towards the women, and that was Theo van Gogh and Ayaan Hirsi Ali, and Theo van Gogh is murdered with a knife in his heart when he was biking with a paper, "Don't criticize us." And I was always wondering, also in America, since I came here, why do the feminist movement not speak more out, even about the genital mutilation, right? Or female genital mutilation, or all the other things that typically is violence. I respect every culture and everybody, but violence is the limit. So that is maybe one reason you say, Leah, I think for sure, but I think there are more reasons. It is like bon ton or fashion to not criticize certain groups, right? But then it comes to Jews and Israel, off limits all the time. So what do you think about this, Leah, Rachel?
About what?
What do you think about this?
Well, the thing that Leah said, it's true about the aspect about how the Muslims talk about Islam being a peaceful religion. I find that laughable, not what Leah said, but the fact that they say that. Because the ironic thing is that the Muslim women, the women, in Gaza, for instance, they're aware of the rapes of the Israeli women. They're aware of it. They condone it.
Yeah.
They know about it. They condone it. Yeah. And everything is,
as far as we know, as we haven't seen anything else. Yeah.
But it's okay. I just saw a slogan yesterday, I think, that said rape, and I don't know if it was you, Carla, that sent me this thing on Instagram. Rape is resistance.
Yeah.
That's the
It's
new
different
thing.
of it. Yeah.
Rape is resistance.
Yeah.
So they're condoning it.
Yeah.
So this is something that is okay and acceptable. And, you know, like, just like in Islam, to lie is acceptable. Lying is acceptable. It's very Machiavellian. The ends justify the means.
Wait a
And
second.
so-
Lies are acceptable if it's to an infidel only.
Right, exactly. So
Very
then
careful, because we don't want to create new problems. But very careful specifically there. And it is certainly a lot of non-Muslim Americans that were silent. All over the world, they were silent. I haven't heard much. And I actually didn't see any organization. And
But
that's
But going back, if you think of the Middle East, I think the women's voice in general is very muted, which is why there's so much war.
Yeah.
I've thought that years earlier, before October 7th. It's just the women's voice isn't strong there, and I think it's out of fear. I do, and also brainwashing, severe brainwashing. I heard a video of young girls I saw it in jail in Israel, and they have no sense of self. They were trying to blow up themselves with Israelis, and they somehow were foiled. The attempt was foiled. They're in prison. Meanwhile, their children are outside growing up without them, and they're still talking about, Allah in this beautiful way, and they're losing their own lives. So it's sad for them. Yeah. But I just think it's up to the Western woman if there's anyone that's going to make a change, which is why this, UN keeping silent it's the most disappointing thing, because if anyone's going to save Muslim women, it's going to, any women violence against any woman, it's going to be here, and we don't see that. And the last thing I'd say about the MeToo movement, I think, is that I think maybe it was only created because it was convenient for them. Look at me. It's about me, right? I mean, is it really about other people and going out of your way and saying, I'm going to put a stand. Violence is wrong, period.
Yes.
There was this sort of, narcissistic thing. I was raped. I was hurt. Well, what about there's Black women slaves, the Nigerian slaves? And we didn't talk about that. I think Michelle did mention them. Again, it's political, like Michelle said. I mean, okay, so they're Black, so she mentions them. It's like, okay, so if you're Jewish and you're raped, there's this pecking order now. And it's like, wait a minute, we need to step back and say, well, violence is violence. And I don't think the Me Too movement ever really came out like that. And that would be the solution.
Well, as far as Michelle Obama is concerned, she was approached by, her name is May Golan, who was the Minister of Advancement for Women in Israel, who reached out to her to ask her to condemn the sexual assault, the violence against the October 7th women who were raped. She met with total silence from Michelle Obama, who during the Boko Haram massacre and rapes and brutal attacks against women was like horrified. She was shocked. She was outraged. She said she was heartbroken, and she joined this global campaign, hashtag bring back our girls. And silence, not a peep. It was just deafening, the silence about the October 7th thing. That was Michelle Obama. That was disgusting. So
yeah.
That was,
you have kind of two groups here, because you have the female collectiveness, and that is for every woman in the world, and that is actually the Me Too movement was addressing that. And then you have the personal group, like Michelle Obama definitely has a preference there related to maybe a group she affiliates with or feels close to, collectivity of the group, which is in a way for us Jews too, but we tend to have that feeling for everybody. And I think, what collective do you choose? My collective is for all the women. I don't want anyone to be abused. And when you brought up the Me Too, I got a picture. It's always nice to make a little joke too. There was a picture of a very old lady that she put on her T-shirt. "Me too, please." It was very funny. You also have to laugh, right? And but it is, you don't want violence for any person.
Right.
I don't want Palestinian women to be raped either. I don't
Right,
want
exactly.
violence at all ever. But why can you choose this color above that color? That is something that is also very discriminatory. And
Well, wouldn't the question be, like, to me, when you're talking, Carla, I'm thinking, like, is rape rape? Is it? If it is, if it's not, that, but it is. Rape is rape. Is rape. And it doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter, and it doesn't matter, except if it goes against the narrative, the anti-Semitic narrative. It seems to me that that anti-Semitic narrative is much stronger than their taking responsibility. If these women in positions of power like Michelle Obama, that and not using it and causing further harm. I mean, she could have said something, but I mean, I'm sorry, who's she married to? I mean, this should not be a shock to anybody here. You know, she was married by, I think, Reverend Wright, who was an anti-Semite.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
definitely.
It should not be a shock. It's not.
Yeah,
the
I
problem
would be shocked if she did speak.
It is terrible to make such a violent thing, or as a rape, to make that political. I find that terrible,
Yes.
regardless what your political views are. If you cannot feel empathy and compassion for anybody with a different skin color than you that go through atrocities, then you are a discriminatory person. You're in a way a racist. Sorry,
but I don't. Sorry,
yeah.
I don't think in that case with Michelle Obama, that wasn't about politics. That was about anti-Semitism, and
That's what you think.
You know, Me Too is not only political; it's anti-Semitism when it comes to Israel. And the feminist movement and women should be believed and all that, that's supposed to be all women.
Yeah.
Feminism is supposed to be about all women.
Unless you're a Jew.
And unless you're a Jew. You know, feminism, it's supposed to be all women are equal. You know, the whole thing is about, you know, all women. It's not supposed to be certain women. It's supposed to be all women. Yeah. So if you're a feminist, you should be talking about all women, not only certain women. And so I'm sure that Michelle Obama considers herself to be a feminist. So she has failed as a feminist if she did not condemn those rapes. She's failed. Yeah. And so in this regard, this was not about politics. This was about anti-Semitism as far as I'm concerned. It's very clear that that's what it was about.
Yeah. It's so sad. It is so sad.
I think it sort of, if anything, we're discussing it today, which sort of sheds a light as to her own humanity, Michelle Obama. I mean, humanity. It's what, you know, either you're on the side of humanity or you're on the side of barbarism.
Right.
There are only two sides here. Violence is violence, and that's it. But, you know, it's almost like World War II was fought with euphemisms. You know, you can sort of, you know, play with words here. But the problem is, again, people are suffering while others are playing with their words. There's real-time consequences to their lack of ability to step up and call something the truth and say it what it is.
So wonderful. I live with this paradigm, like violence is never permitted unless you need to defend yourself, because then you can say, okay, you can turn the other cheek, kill me. Okay, that's fine, but that happened already 80 years ago, right? So you don't want to repeat the Holocaust. But you know, if a lot of people had guns then, how awful that thought is, they couldn't defend themselves.
Absolutely. A lot of Jews would have been spared.
That was the first thing they did, was take away the guns.
That's the
first thing. Very first thing.
Every authoritarian government does. Or the power is there. And I'm not saying let's all have a gun now. That's not the solution either. But you know, you cannot defend yourself. You see what happened. Those people in the area near Gaza. I mean, there were families living in the kibbutzim. They were the most liberal, leftist, nice people. They were friends with the Palestinians. They offered them help. They brought them to hospitals. They had their kids over. So Hamas knew their names, the name of the dog, how many kids they had, who should be murdered, who should be kept alive, and who should be abducted. And that is so like violence against innocent people that even didn't have any guns.
So I always think of that.
They paid for their
self-help. I'm sorry.
They paid for their kindness. They paid for their.
It is
They paid with their lives.
But can I say something? I think what you're saying is, and I was having a conversation yesterday about this. This self-help, this loving your neighbor, like, completely blindly. Of course, it's dangerous. I mean, in the Kabbalah, we have Chesed and Gevura, which is kindness and restraint. They're supposed to be in balance. You don't just, put yourself in risk. But I also think the self-help movement is just really about yourself. But you have to also look between people. I can be a very open-minded person and want to include everybody, but you also have to have your eyes open and look.
But there's one component here with the kibbutzim, because there were people that said this guy worked for 30 years. We are very like family. But, because they did that work, Hamas have maybe put them under so much pressure. If you don't give us the information, we kill your entire family. So they're also sometimes, but I haven't heard anything about that yet. There is no anonymous confession except a few Israeli Arabs that speak out very clearly and the son of Hamas. I have not heard any innocent Palestinian complaining about the treatment of the Jews. They were celebrating when the dead girls' bodies came into the cars. I have seen a few videos that they threw things at them. You saw the wounds they got. They got the wounds from people throwing stones at them. What people go and throw stones at girls of 18, 19 years old, they are kidnapped. I mean, but that says something about your mentality. And then the Western thought is what I noticed a lot in Europe. Yeah, well, they get so angry because their needs were not met. Honestly, make your needs met. We don't have to go now about the whole history there. But Gaza could have been, what was it?
Paris, Middle East.
Yeah, it could have been like Dubai. It could have been like Singapore if you think constructively. But if you build tunnels and put all your money in there, it's like making the scapegoat. And it is so sad that the scapegoat of the Jews, the scapegoating of Jews in Europe has been so efficiently used for 1,500 years at least, when the Jews entered also into European countries, right? When they were kicked out of Israel then. And the scapegoating, it still lives on because it's the same thing. You're a Jew, so you're bad. You're Israeli, so you're bad. You see,
maybe that's the purpose of Gaza. Because why isn't Egypt, since the beginning of the war, how many Palestinians have been helped by Egypt? Zero. Not even one.
Yeah.
Not even one. I just learned that statistic. Like, okay, Rafah border, nothing's coming in from Egypt. So Israel's the only one giving them help. And it's been going for years. And Israel's blamed. I mean, it's just, again, it's always at the blood of the Israelis and the Jews.
Why not with love and kindness? Also the land situation. There's so much land in the Middle East. Why not with love and kindness and compassion share a little bit? And give each other breath and space and see the best in each other. So I would like to ask Rochelle, you have something else that you would like to share?
Well, one of the things I was thinking about was these celebrities really annoy me. Taylor Swift is supposed to be this great role model. I have no clue about her music. I don't follow it. So her young female followers, they're called Swifties. So Taylor Swift is supposed to be this terrific role model for these young girls, and she's supposed to be all about empowering girls, and she's against bullies. So what I find interesting is that she performed at an anti-Israel Gaza fundraiser. The biggest bullies are the, Hamas, terrorists. And so she performs at an anti-Israel fundraiser, and Megyn Kelly called her out and said people should boycott her.
Yeah.
And she also had Selena Gomez, I think, perform with her. So I thought it was great that Megyn Kelly called her out on that. And so that was interesting. And then there's Susan Sarandon, another one, another one of these, all these people. And then at the Oscars, which I don't watch and haven't watched for many years, but I noticed that afterwards they were wearing the red pin with the bloody red hand on it.
Yes.
They're so ignorant because they think it stood for the ceasefire, but I'm pretty sure they don't know what's behind the red hand, which is the bloody red hand.
Window, like this.
Right, which was to do with the lynching and the murder of Israeli soldiers.
No, they were not even soldiers at that moment. They were civilians. They were
civilians, right, that they caught and they murdered, and so Billie Eilish, the singer, and a few other actors were standing there with their red pins and virtue signaling, and these idiots, they don't even know. I believe they don't even know, but they think that they're so wonderful, and they are wearing these red pins calling for ceasefire. And so I just find it so disgusting that they think they're so wonderful with, making these statements. So anyway, and they have a lot of followers that are just as ignorant as they are. And so I find that very upsetting, because there are a lot of people that don't know very much, and they influence them. And so I find that kind of unfortunate. So that's kind of
then there is the trend that fits in it that is also so simplistic and so untrue, and that's actually a different topic but still a little bit related. Like, okay, this is the oppressor and that's the underdog. This is the victor, this is the victim. And that's not how the situation usually is. Every relationship is a co-creation. You do it together. And it is not even if in this situation, okay, the Palestinians are not as powerless as is mentioned, they are not so oppressed, they have their own place. And honestly, we all know. And if you think different about it, leave it in the comments, right? I would love to hear your opinion. But we all know that when the Palestinians would put down the arms and would not want to fight Jews anymore, there would be such a flourishing, abundant prosperity situation, a prosperous state, prosperous country. So it
would be a win-win for everybody.
We don't want Jews next door. That is the problem. And many people say that. And that's what a lot of Western people don't get. They think they are like us or like them. We are not like this. You saw with the Second World War that a lot of land was redivided, and you take it. Nobody complains about it. A lot of innocent people had to move from here to there, and they also lost so much. And you don't hear about that ever, just Europeans. But this whole thing is like it made like and you're a great person if you're pro-Palestinian. If not, you better stay home and we don't want the suffering either. I mean, Israel left when they dragged 17,000 Israelis out of Gaza in 2005 that lived there happily. No, they were not allowed to be there anymore. They left 80 greenhouses. They were all broken down by Hamas, right? They gave the water system and they broke that down, and they took the pipes and used that into the tunnels. And then now they're screaming, you see, Israel is doing this and that. It's such a simplistic, stupid game. And I think also a little bit with the Europeans, mainly maybe more than Americans, I don't know. But there is a kind of guilty feelings because all those Jews in European countries where they lived, most of them are murdered. I mean, the Netherlands, 90% has been murdered. And there's a kind of collective guilt feelings, right? So it's great if you see the people that were such victims, oh, now we can find them bad too. So we feel less guilty about what our ancestors did here. It are such strange mechanisms. I find it really, Do you have something else you would love to share, Rochelle?
No, I just think that we have a huge PR battle, and that's, I think, our biggest problem, which is part of why the MeToo issue, we're not believed. They don't want to believe us. They don't care. They don't want to know. And and the Jews are, the Israelis, as brilliant as the Israelis are in every way, they have failed miserably as far as PR is concerned.
And also as far as safety this time. Yeah, that's a bit of a sad ending. So let's change the ending a little bit differently. I would like to hear everybody's anti-Semit of the week. I would love to say bastard, but we don't use curses, so we say anti-Semit, right? And then we do the hero or the heroine. So what is your anti-Semit of the week, Rochelle?
Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah.
Canadian here. He recently changed his position on the Israel-Hamas war when he was at an event in BC, in British Columbia, when he started talking about Israel and said, the world is watching Israel killing women, children, and babies.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Babies. I mean,
and then as an afterthought, he talked about Hamas and the rapes, but that was like at the end, Anyway, he is a very anti-Semitic guy. So he's my anti-Semite.
Okay, thank you. Leah.
So thank you, Rochelle. My anti-Semite is Abrar Omeyesh from Fairfax County. He was, until this year, a member of the Fairfax County School Board. He voted against the Fairfax County Public School resolution offering a moment of silence for victims of 9/11, and also against the victims of October 7th attacks on Israel. And he basically gave a graduation speech encouraging students to remember your jihad and reject capitalism. So right now, students of Fairfax County can opt out of listening to a Holocaust survivor. So my hero of the week is Jennifer Katz, who is the founding member of
Not yet the hero. Not yet the hero.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We do the circle first. First, the negative ending.
Sure.
So keep that.
Okay. No, it's
Thank you. So my anti-Semitic of the week is Mohammed Hadid. He was this week in the news. He's the father of the two girls, Bella and the other one, I forgot the name. Gigi, yeah. And they, unfortunately, they position themselves as Palestinian and Dutch. And I'm not so happy with the second identification because I think they're doing a horrible job, because if you fight for your cause with integrity and honesty, I'm with you. But there are so many lies posted there. And Mohammed Hadid posted this week pictures of dying children, definitely from another era, definitely from Syria, but they were totally impossible that they were from Gaza. So to manipulate your story, to get your political, see how bad they are because they let us die. No, Hamas does take the food for themselves, and it is not the Israelis, it is Hamas who created this problem, right? The whole war. But then you see children like really almost dying, so thin that takes months to get there, not 5 months, much longer. And so that is so positioning lies in order to serve a cause. So yeah, I am disgusted by this man. Okay, Rochelle, what is your hero or heroine of the week?
My heroine is Sarah Idan, Miss Iraq.
Oh,
she's lovely, and she attended the Oscar party, which, of course, as I said, I did not watch. She attended the after party, which was Elton John's AIDS Foundation party. She wore a dress with 19 yellow ribbons or something, yellow frills,
and to draw attention to the 19 female hostages from October 7th, and which was opposed to the celebrities who wore those red pins with the red hands on them. And as her guest, she invited Mia Shem, the 19-year-old female hostage from October 7th. So
Wonderful,
who
wonderful.
my heroine
Just for
is.
her, Leah.
Thanks, Rochelle. That's very apropos. So Jennifer Katz, she's a founding member of the United Against Anti-Semitism, a Jewish parent of 2 Fairfax County Public School students. And she's fighting for a Holocaust education to be required in the school system. It's a big fight there. It's a very anti-Semitic school system. And she's basically saying that the Holocaust education is really what's needed right now, specifically right now.
Yeah, yeah.
To not have students opt out.
Absolutely. Education is key, right? Now, my heroine of the week is Danielle Ofak, who is the founder of the MeToo Unless You're a Jew. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us today, which was the planning, but you know, it's wonderful what she created, and it's just a beautiful sentence, and that's all we talked about today. MeToo Unless You're a Jew. Okay. Well, thank you so very much. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching, and please, if you like this video, give a like and follow us or subscribe. Take care. Bye-bye.